glad that you were joining me today, especially at this at time of, I guess, your attitude is gratitude. And here in true fashion, I keep forgetting to turn my volume down on my phone, which I keep on so that I'm sure to see comments that people are making while we are here. But I'm grateful that you're here. I'm glad that you're here today. In case you have never joined me before, I am Jennifer Bassman. I am a certified CliftonStrengths coach who extinguishes burnout in one entrepreneur at a time. I do that by helping you get past your overwhelm and your fears of failure. So here we talk about all the things that affect a burned out mindset. And there's a lot of things that affect a burned out mindset. But even if we don't directly talk about burnout, we talk about and discuss all the things that challenge it, all the things that change it, solutions, ideas that all play a role in being burned out or recovering from burnout. And I know because I had to fight through burnout too. Today, I'm going to talk about why I am grateful for this challenging year that we've had and for the opportunities that it created for me. And I know that some of you are concerned that this might get a little bit woo-woo or even just a little bit, kumbaya, but not at all. That is not what this is at all. I'm actually going to spill some secrets about how I've actually maintained a positive perspective and a positive outlook and asked what this pandemic can do for me, not what I can do for this pandemic. So I'm hoping that you'll stick around and that you will enjoy this conversation and share your own tips and tricks, some things that you've also discovered, about, working through a pandemic and while you're burned out. Hey, Walt, I'm glad that you stopped by to say hey and join this conversation. Walt, I know you have something to add. But if you had told me on January 1st that I would start a new business this year and that I would become a published author, that I would publish a book, I would have laughed in your face. I would have laughed the whole thing off. I never would have believed it. It's not that I didn't ever think that I could do those things or that those were always in the plans. I just hadn't exactly planned them out or committed to a date or decided what to do yet. So hey, Cindy. So when the pandemic hit, I was just as worried as everybody else about, what I was going to do with my small business. And for the record, in case you don't know me, I own a pet sitting business. I've owned pet care businesses for nearly 20 years. And to be truthful, this is my first Thanksgiving in more than 16 years. 17 years now, more than 17 years that I haven't had a dog to take care of through the Thanksgiving holiday. I had a dog to take care of for Thanksgiving. So this is crazy to me. I don't know what to do with myself this week. And I'm learning all over again how to enjoy the holidays with everybody else. So I just thought I would throw that out there. This isn't because my business is closed. It's because people aren't traveling. My business depends on people traveling and not being home. And so when people aren't traveling and people are home, they don't need a pet sitter. So that's kind of what I'm here to discuss, and you might be thinking, how could you be grateful for your business being in the crapper? But I am actually, because it gave me the opportunity to move forward and do something else. And I'm going to explain all of this, I swear to you, because I know it sounds crazy, that concept of, lots of cancellations. Yeah, I know, Cindy, and a lot of people are in this boat. And that's kind of why I'm doing this video, is because I want everyone to see, or hope everyone can see, a different perspective, that it doesn't have to be, oh my God, my business isn't ever going to take off again, or that there's nothing that you can do. There are other things that we can do. We've just got to have a different perspective and go about them in a different way. So I'm glad that you joined me for this, and hope that you'll share with other people as well. But, like I said, when the pandemic hit, I was crazy worried like everybody else. What am I going to do? Because my small business depended on, in order for it to be functional and profitable, it depended on people traveling and being out of their homes. And, that wasn't happening with the pandemic. Everybody's home, nobody's traveling. We've been warned by a government and by a health organization not to travel, which in itself is also quite odd. But we'll go there. But what I did know, despite my worries, despite my fears, what I did know is that I needed to find a way to see some opportunity. And that's where my CliftonStrengths that I mentioned here, my number 6 strategic and my number 10 positivity really came in to help me out, really help me fight some battles, and really help me see some different perspectives. So since I had already opened and grown a business to nearly 7 figures during a economic recession, I also knew that sometimes you have to fight through the negativity, you have to fight through the naysayers, you have to fight through, the I can'ts or I don't or I won't or the doubters, to take advantage of a new opportunity and to take advantage of an opportunity to see an opportunity is maybe another way to say it. So this is where I sat down and started working in earnest on focusing on my coaching business and focusing on writing my book. And it's one of a couple of books that I have planned. This isn't the only book that I've been writing this year. It's just the other 2 are taking a little bit longer. They weren't as quick as my first one, which is great. But this is where also my advice and my experience become a little bit difficult for some people to hear. And I'm expecting some rolled eyes. I'm expecting some, Jennifer, that's just not the same for everybody. I get it. I know it. I totally know it. But I'm hoping that you will hear me out on this, because the advice that I'm going to give you, the first thing that I want you to consider is that you are what you focus on. You are what you focus on. I'm saying that twice. I watched too many small business owners, entrepreneurs focus on what couldn't happen, what wouldn't happen, how felt they stuck, that their business tanked, and that they, I also know that they forgot about the grit that they had already, that they had somewhere, because it took grit to start their business that they were currently running at some point. So, where did this grit go? Where did this belief that you can do it and you can start a new business and start down a new path and pursue a new idea, where did that go? And so, I watched a lot of them keep struggling and a lot of them keep complaining that things weren't going to get any better and that things were tough. And since this is where their focus was, that's what they got in return, is they got a lot of just negative negative, environment around them. They got a lot of fearful responses. And they just kind of watched their big business struggle, because they were struggling internally. Things were going to struggle externally. My focus during the pandemic was actually moving on and moving forward and working towards a new goal. Since I knew that my old goal wasn't going to go anywhere, it was going to be stagnant, nothing was going to happen to it, in terms of it wasn't really going to be, growing like I was used to seeing my business grow. And it wasn't also going to be as positive or as much fun as I was used to. I decided to just leave it in the background, leave it going, just, kind of let it run on autopilot and just let it go for a little bit, so that I had the time and I had the energy to focus on new things, to focus on a new goal that I knew would make me happier, would actually make me more successful, and would keep me happier and productive in a time when, if I'm not doing that, if I'm not focusing on something positive, that I would actually end up struggling myself. But having a new goal to focus on, meant that I wasn't wasting energy on worrying about something that I had absolutely no control over. I had absolutely no control over the pandemic. I mean, how many times have you seen me post, wear your damn face mask? People still aren't doing it. So obviously I'm not good at controlling there. But none of this has been easy. I don't want you to think for a second that any of this has been easy. Thank you, Marlene. None of this has been easy. In fact, I had forgotten how hard it was to start a new business from scratch. And I giggle a little bit because, with the pet sitting business, I'd been doing it for so long. I'd gotten used to certain things and I was able to predict, different patterns. And I always kind of knew what was coming after doing it for so long, right? So starting a new business, every day has been a challenge. Every day has been a new learning experience. Sometimes they were good learning experiences. Sometimes they were bad learning experiences. And some days I just didn't want to learn another new damn thing. I'll be honest. But here is why. I'm telling you why this challenging year has made me so grateful for these unusual opportunities. And by unusual opportunities, I'm kind of referring to the pandemic. It is an unusual opportunity. Who ever said a pandemic was an opportunity? Well, in my case, it actually was. And it's not that I really want to do this all over again and I really want to keep struggling through a pandemic with the rest of society. I do want this to go away. I want to make that really clear. But, what stick with me because I am going to explain, this is going to take a little bit to explain some of this, but here's how this is my secret. This is the big badass secret that I'm promising to share with you. This is how I was able to keep my more hopeful, my more positive perspective. And it was my CliftonStrengths and the coaching that I do, and the coaching that I've had in the past as well. I coach people every single day that have similar challenges, similar worries, and similar stress. This is by no means an advertisement for my coaching. That's not what this is at all. This is literally a secret and something everybody has access to and everybody can do. In fact, there is a sale right now. You can go get your CliftonStrengths report done. They're running, I think it's through December 9th. I think I've got the expiration date correct. But you can take your CliftonStrengths assessment and get the full 34 report for 34% off. They don't do that. I don't even think I've ever seen them offer it for 34% off before. So take it. And I'm going to tell you why. This is why it's a secret and why it's a badass secret and absolutely amazing. Because what I learned through owning my business, and businesses, I should say, I've had multiple, and working through burnout is that we all have a choice. Every single one of us has a choice throughout this. We can choose to focus on what is right instead of what is wrong. We can choose to focus on the strengths that will put us in a place where we want to be rather than some place that just keeps us down and in a negative spiral. But we can also choose to be angry. We can choose to make excuses and we can choose to stay stagnant. I have also been that person. I'm going to openly admit I have also been that person. I was not a lot of fun. I was not a very happy person. And so since I've experienced both sides of this, I've failed at business before. I've been overwhelmed by business before. I've burned out. I'm coming to you and telling you from my personal experience that being in a place where I can now focus on what is right and what I do well is way more fun and way less stressful than that place of being angry, making excuses, worrying, stressing, being overwhelmed all of the stinking time. That place sucked. And I am beyond grateful that I have a better, more productive perspective to choose from. Any of us can choose this perspective. In fact, I'm going to put a link below for you to choose that perspective, to take that assessment, to take that CliftonStrengths assessment. It also used to be called Strength Finders. Some people might be more familiar with that term. I should refer to both ways. But if you don't know about CliftonStrengths, I will leave that link below. You can read more about it. I've done videos about it in the past, and I'll also put the discount code for the 34% off. And what your natural talents and what your natural strengths will tell you every single time, no matter what situation you're in. And now that I've lived through a pandemic, knowing what my natural talents are and what my natural strengths are, I can now safely tell you and confidently tell you that what you are best at and what your next steps should be come from your natural talents and come from your strengths. Knowing those things put you miles ahead of everybody and everything. So I've discussed before about how learning my strengths and how and learning how to use them helped me recover from burnout. I've mentioned that in several videos over the year, and done a couple of specific videos. But I haven't really gone into detail about each strength, and it is my plan to do so more moving forward, to give you guys a better look at what these strengths actually mean and what they can actually do for you, and how it looks when you're running a business, how a strength looks when you're in burnout, how you can use your strengths to get yourself out of burnout, how you can use your strengths to move forward in a pandemic and reach your goals and have a better perspective on things in a pandemic. We've all, lived through this crazy time together, and I think it's worth a look for everybody. And, knowing this about myself, knowing what my strengths are, definitely helped me move forward. It definitely gave me a more positive outlook. There's 34 strengths within CliftonStrengths. When you take the assessment, you're going to be ranking the 34 different strengths that contribute to your success. And near the top of my 34 strengths is a strength called strategic. I love this strength. I have really enjoyed leaning on this strength as of late. Strategic means that I have the natural talent to automatically look for different solutions to a problem. That's automatically where my brain goes. There's nothing I have to do to make that happen. My brain just starts networking and looking for different solutions, looking for different answers to the problems that are in front of me. And it does this very quickly. And I quickly scan the options that are available. And then I, again, very quickly decide which one is the best path for me to take. So while all this stuff was going on around me, the world was kind of falling apart, my brain just automatically started scanning for different solutions. Well, what are you going to do next, Jennifer? Where are we going to go next? How can we actually get through this in a, more positive manner? How can we do things differently? Was what my brain was automatically thinking. Knowing this about myself is what gave me a different perspective in a time of grief and stress. If I had not known that about myself, I wouldn't be sitting here today doing these videos. I wouldn't have had the courage. I wouldn't have had the knowledge. I just wouldn't have thought that possible about myself. So it's part of what gave me the courage to say, like I just said, I need to do something different. I can't sit here and wait for my pet sitting business to rebound. I can't wait for people to start traveling again. I need to be in a different place doing something different. And so that is what I did. And of course, the other strengths that I have near the top of my strengths ranking also helped, enable this change. And we'll talk a lot more about that. But the other strength in my top 10, I would call them natural talents and strengths, is positivity. And this strength gives me my glass half full perspective. It's also why I'm able to do this video and see things in the way that I do. But it's my glass half full perspective. It gives me the ability to see a good in all the bad. Because some of you might be watching this saying, how in the heck is she seeing this when everybody's businesses are falling apart and life is cratering? And here she is going, well, I'll just start a new one. I'll just do something different. It's my positivity. It's definitely my positivity, looking at it and saying, wait, we can do this. But everybody's got different strengths. Even if positivity or strategic aren't in your top 10, even if they're at the very bottom, there are things in your top 10. There are natural talents and strengths that you possess that you just need to understand them a little bit better and be aware of them. And it will move you forward into this perspective. I wasn't, always. Before I move forward, I should point out that it is my positivity that keeps me funny. It's also, I always kind of wondered this about myself. Why is it that I have to find humor in, really desperate situations when I can just tell the group that I'm in needs a little bit of levity. Everybody needs to hear a little bit of funny. And as uncomfortable as it makes my husband sometimes when I do this, that's where the sense of humor comes in, is from my positivity. But, I wasn't always this great in dire situations. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you that I didn't always see a silver lining to stuff, even though it was within me somewhere. I just, because it hadn't been brought to my attention, I hadn't been shown how to use it. I wasn't that great. I used to jump in the woe is me waiting pool with everybody else. I would be just as upset. I would be doing just as much complaining. But the difference is that I didn't know myself as well then. I didn't understand my talents and my strengths. And I also felt like the hardship that was in front of me was done to me. Not anymore. I totally understand why that is failed thinking. In my case, that's failed thinking. And I think it is for a lot of other people too, honestly. But what changed my mind, and this is, also part of the secret, what changed my mind was knowing my strengths and also practicing some gratitude along the way. And I'm bringing up that gratitude because this is officially Gratitude Week, I guess. With Thanksgiving, we're talking about the things that we're thankful for, the things that we're grateful for. This is what I'm grateful for. I am grateful for a pandemic that brought me an opportunity to change my way of life, to change my way of thinking, to pursue some new interests, to pursue some new goals. Whereas if I had stayed pandemic free, I might still be running a business that I enjoyed, I liked it, but it wasn't challenging me. It wasn't giving me any new opportunities. So, I don't doubt that, you're faced with your own set of challenges right now. We all are. I want you to know how deeply I understand that. And I don't want you to think that I'm making any light of it at all. But it's just that the people who are going to come out of this pandemic thriving, and I want you to be one of those people. I really want you to be one of those people. I want my friends, I want my family, I want this community, other business owners that I know have put their heart and souls into their businesses. I want you to come out of this thriving. That is why I work so hard at talking about burnout all the time. It's not because I want to be a Debbie Downer. It's because I know how much damage that does, not only to your body and your mind, but to your business as well. So I'm hoping that you're taking this to heart. And it's going to be the people that come out of this pandemic thriving that are the ones that are willing to seek a different perspective, that are willing to kind of turn the prism and look at a different side of things. So, what is your new perspective going to be? How are you going to start looking at things? If you have any questions about Clifton Strengths, please reach out to me. I don't want it to be a sales pitch for taking a Clifton Strengths assessment, but I so believe in that methodology. And I really think that it was the key to getting me through a lot of this and getting me to where I am today. And do I wish I had known it sooner? Oh, hell yeah, totally. So that's why I'm sharing this secret with you. But if you have any questions about it, definitely reach out to me. I will post the link in the comments so that you can go do a little bit more research and reading yourself to see what it is. Be sure to check out my book, the one that I was talking about that I got to write. It's over here over my shoulder, Stop Being a Doormat. It is available on Amazon. I will also link to that for you as well. And let me see. Oh, what else should I tell you? I should also tell you that book, Stop Being a Doormat, is going to become an online course so that it adds a little bit more accountability for you when you're trying to create and enforce new boundaries, because that is also a huge part of the solution to taming burnout. But as always, you can find me here, and you can reach me at jennifer@jenniferbassman.com. I'm so glad you were here today, and I look forward to hearing about your new perspective. Thank you.